Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Tuesday. I hope the day is going well wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Thank you, as always, for joining me. What are we going to talk about? There's no football. It's really, really weird feeling waking up thinking, no game to come. It's so used for the last 9 months, just every other day, beginning to think of another game around the corner. What we're going to do? What's Mikel going to do? What's the lineup going to be? All that sort of stuff. But now, nothing. Absolutely nothing until I can't remember who the first preseason game is against on the tour. Either Newcastle, Tottenham. I still can't believe we're playing Newcastle and Tottenham in pre-season. That's just got disaster written all over it. Two teams that like to kick the absolute hell out of us in pre-season. Doesn't feel like a very wise bit of pre-season planning to me, but what you're going to do. Anyway, we still do have plenty of stuff to talk about today. So, yeah, we're going to talk about Rodrygo. We're going to talk about Tomas Rosicky. Scary stuff for TR7, but fingers crossed all is good for him now. Max Dowman, we're going to talk about him. Unbelievable performance for England under-17s last night. And lots of questions and comments from you guys as well. But before I get started, just a couple of things. First of all, I just got to say to anyone who might be watching in Liverpool, to anyone who's got family in Liverpool, anything like that, just thinking of you after those horrendous scenes yesterday at the Liverpool title parade. Just so scary, so awful to see so many people injured on the day when they're out there enjoying themselves, just having loads of fun, celebrating their team's amazing success this season. And for something so horrific to happen like it did, it was just beyond comprehension. And, I've got lots of friends up there who I've been speaking to who are all okay and their families are okay. But obviously some people aren't okay and some people's families have been really, really impacted by those horrible scenes. So I'm just thinking of the city, thinking of everyone up there, your families, just horrible. And hopefully we get some good news on all of those who have been injured. Also, myself and James Benge are going to be sitting down a little bit later on today to record Inside Arsenal Extra Time. He's back from his honeymoon. So we'll be recording later on early afternoon UK time, about sort of 2 p.m. UK time. So if you want to get any questions in for Inside Arsenal Extra Time, then get down into the comments, start them with extra time and fire in your questions, and we'll choose some of them to get included in the show. Right, let's get started on the bits and pieces doing the rounds today, shall we? We'll start with Rodrygo, a player who we know has been heavily linked with Arsenal. Lots of certainly reports coming from the Spain side of things that he could potentially be a casualty from this season, from the new sort of rebuild under Carlo Ancelotti's exit and Xabi Alonso's appointment. And he could be one of maybe a big money or big name exit, could bring in some money for the club as they look to reshape the squad a little bit. Now, Xabi Alonso was doing his unveiling sort of press conference yesterday, and he was asked about Rodrygo and the transfer links with him potentially going somewhere across Europe. And he was quite adamant that that would not be the case. Now, obviously, you kind of what you say publicly when you're a football manager and what you're thinking privately or behind the scenes and what talks going on behind the scenes can often be very, very different, because if you're in a negotiating tactic, you're not going to sit there and just immediately say, yes, Rodrygo's for sale, we'll accept any money for him. That's just not going to be the case. But this is what Alonso said. He said, Rodrygo is a Real Madrid player. I will speak to everyone at Real Madrid because they deserve it. But Rodrygo is an amazing player and we will need him. So from that, it sounds pretty adamant that Alonso is thinking that Rodrygo is going to be part of his plans next season and isn't going to be sold. But again, you do have to take with a pinch of salt sometimes what these managers say, and what they're thinking could be very, very different to what the club is thinking, especially if they need to bring money in because they're spending a lot of money on new signings. We've already seen them sign Dean Houseman for 50 million. I imagine there's going to be plenty more players coming in as Alonso tries to put his sort of mark on the team and on the squad. So I think it is going to be a summer of change at Real Madrid, and maybe Rodrygo and the money that he could bring in would be part of that. But we'll wait and see. Alonso for now very much saying that Rodrygo is part of his plans and is not going to be going anywhere. So we'll see how that develops. We obviously know that Arsenal have been heavily linked with him. He's a player that they, like plenty of other top clubs in Europe, like. There's been some really sort of strong reports about Arsenal going in for him, then wages and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. At the moment, I'm taking that with a pinch of salt. It's not anything that I've really heard myself in terms of sort of wage issues and all that sort of stuff. So we'll wait and see how that progresses. But for now, Xabi Alonso, anyway, saying that Rodrygo, part of his plans, might not be going anywhere. Right, I just wanted to talk about Tomas Rosicky, just, one of my favourite players when he was fit, of the Emirates era, just an absolute magician on the ball. Obviously now over in Prague doing his job as a sporting director, but he's rushed to hospital and taken into intensive care in the last few days with a heart issue. He has now been released from hospital, which is very, very good news, and is receiving care at home at the moment. He has put out a statement that says, "The situation has shown me that I need to take better care of myself. Poor lifestyle habits, lack of physical activity, and family predispositions unfortunately brought me here. The good news is that I'm expected to make a full recovery. Though I'm currently unable to carry out the demanding responsibilities of a sporting director, I'll remain in touch with my colleagues as we've always operated as a team." So scary stuff for Tommy. But obviously, fingers crossed, silver lining, he is home now. He's recovered. He's not in intensive care anymore. But 44 years old. Just hopefully, I'm sure everyone sends their best wishes to Tomas Rosicky as he continues his recovery after that scary, scary moment. But good news, sounding positive anyway, when it comes to his health, from one mercurial attacking midfielder to another. Obviously, very, very different age ranges. 15-year-old Max Dowman, again, absolutely starring. Now, if you didn't see this yesterday, go and watch a highlights reel of Max Dowman's game. And I know, I was very reluctant to talk about Max Dowman on here for a long, long time because he's so young. And obviously, I've got a lot of subscribers, a lot of viewers. And when you've got such a big platform, you don't want to, you have to tread very carefully when you're talking about players who are so, so young. Obviously, it's changed a little bit because Max Dowman is now such a is almost a public figure now. Arsenal talk about him very, very publicly. Mikel Arteta talks about him very, very publicly. So it's not like your normal sort of 15-year-old kid coming from the youth team because he's such a talent. But it's just very hard not to get excited by him. You watch him in that game for England yesterday. They won 4-2. In the first 15 minutes, he scored an absolute worldie of a goal and then produced an unbelievable assist. As England went 2-0 up in the first 15 minutes, ended up winning 4-2. They went out of the competition, actually, even with that defeat, which is a kind of good news for Max in a way, because he's going to have a very, very busy pre-season with the first team. So it's good that he's going to have a proper break before he comes back for that. But you just watch the way he glides across the pitch and the way he just runs away from players, his low centre of gravity, his ability on the ball. He's a scarily good talent. Well, one thing I was watching from yesterday. Obviously, everything about him in terms of what he does with the ball and all that is just top quality. He's miles above anyone else on that football pitch. It's so glaringly obvious. Decision making, I think he's going to certainly need to work on. You kind of watch a lot of the highlights reel from yesterday, and his teammates seem to get a little bit annoyed with him by his lack of passing at times. He's very, very keen on just getting the ball and running and taking everyone on, and then ending up getting a shot away or something like that. And you can see a few times his teammates who are ahead of him making runs, sort of throwing their arms up when the ball doesn't find them, and he just goes himself. So I think sort of decision making, he'll have to work on that. But of course, he's a 15-year-old kid. His development's like way down here. He's got so much further to go, but he's a really exciting talent, and I thought he was unbelievable yesterday from what I saw. But yeah, I do think it's actually for him, as I'm sure he'll be very, very disappointed. Jack Porter was in goal for England actually as well, so he's coming back early. But as disappointing it'll be for him and for Jack that they missed out. Maybe not so to Jack, because I can't imagine he'll go on the first team pre-season, but for Max to now have a proper break, because he's played a lot of football recently as well. He did get an injury towards the end of the game yesterday and got substituted about half an hour to go as well. So for him just to be able to put his feet up now, have a bit of a rest, and then get ready for pre-season, because it's going to be a really, really big pre-season for him. Brilliant scenes yesterday at the Emirates for the Arsenal women celebrating their Champions League win at the, it's not parade, it was just a trophy lift. They were obviously on top and had thousands of fans. If you watch on YouTube, you can see the pictures there in front of me. Even Win the dog was involved. Win stealing the show, as Win always does whenever she's in the pictures. But just amazing scenes. Thousands and thousands of Arsenal fans there celebrating with the girls. Katie McCabe was she definitely had a few yesterday, didn't she? She was boisterous, shall we say? Oh, Katie. But just a brilliant day for the women. Really great to see them be able to celebrate like that and receive the acclaim of all the Arsenal fans. And the club went all out, really sort of put on a great show for them. So that was really, really good. And it was brilliant pictures. So many more of them. You go onto the Arsenal.com and watch the sort of video packages that they've produced and all the photos they've produced from the day, and just show how special it was. Really, really good. And fantastic for the ladies. Congratulations again. Made the club very, very proud with your success. Naby, or Naby, I think that is his, makes a very good point. I haven't unveiled the final table from the Inside Arsenal FPL League this season. I haven't actually updated on it for a while. So as you said, their fantasy league is over. Where did you finish? Just wondering. I didn't finish top. I'll put it that way, Naby. My final weekend, last weekend, for the final games of the Premier League season, brought in Saka, brought in Calafiori, took out Isak because I didn't think he was going to start. Saka benched, Isak starts, Calafiori not even in the squad. And that was at a cost of -8 points, by the way, that I made these changes as well, which kind of sums up my my fantasy Premier League season. So here is the top 10. Congratulations to Xavier Gio, I think that is, with Cauliflower 33. Is that a play on Calafiori's name? And so you win with 2,679 points and 19 points clear of Callum Connor, who finished second. Johnny Silvant was third. Stevie Jackson fourth. And Alex makes up the top 5. And there I am, way down. I finished 460. That's actually not too bad. I mean, there was thousands in the Inside Arsenal FPL League. I'm not sure the full total of how many were in it, but there was a lot in it. So I'm actually quite relatively pleased. I had a bad final couple of weeks of the season, and I had my free hit. I think I had my bench boost, and I played them in the last few weeks, thinking it might shoot me up the table. Not so much in this league, but in my mate's league where we play for some money, and it failed miserably. So yeah, 460. If I finish 2,353 points. So over 300 behind Xavier, who tops. So congratulations to you. The Inside Arsenal FPL League will be back next season. I will open it up again for everyone to join to see if Xavier can keep their crown, or if someone else can take over. So there's your top 10. Well done. Xavier at number 1, Callum at 2, Johnny at 3, Stevie at 4, who nicked ahead of Alex in the final week, Fred at 6, Stephen at 7, Jordan at 8, Kieran at 9, and Alex completing the top 10. Congratulations to you all. What a fine season you had. Right, let's get into some questions now before we wrap this one up today. Got one here from Ben. He says, "Hi up, Charles. Cheers for consistent top quality content across the season. Thank you. And thank you for everyone who sent in nice messages yesterday after the final game of the season, thanking me for for my efforts this season. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much." Ben says, "Watching us against Southampton, couldn't help but be impressed by Kamaluddin Suleimani, especially his pace and strength on the ball. Seems a great prospect." He did, yeah. End product definitely lacking with him, though. It is a case of head down run, and he does look very dangerous when he does that. But when he actually gets to around the final third, I thought he really sort of not let himself down. Might be the wrong comment, but he needs to work on that sort of end product part of his game. Ben says, "It got me thinking about players outside the top 5 who have caught your eye in players to sign under the radar for squad depth. I always remember Jota doing damage against us at Wolves and us not pouncing to sign him. I feel that we should be looking at lower clubs, star players to bring them in. Matoma, Eze, Kudos, Gibbs-White, and Berimo, to name a few. Are there any others who have stood out to you? Then you'd say that Morgan Rogers would be your pick." I was thinking this when I was reading it last night when I was putting them together, and I was thinking, out of all, well, certainly the ones that you've mentioned there, Morgan Rogers is absolutely, I would love Morgan Rogers at Arsenal. I think he'd be perfect for this team. I think he'd bring something that Arsenal don't have. But Gibbs-White as well, I'd really, really keen on signing Morgan Gibbs-White. Eze, I've said about Nouri at Wolves as well is a player who I think could do a really, really good job. The only thing is over there, we obviously don't really have a need for him, and the way we play with our left backs kind of means that it just wouldn't really, really work. But I do think he's a really good talent that could explode somewhere in him. But I think from all the players sort of outside the big clubs, obviously Eze would be right up there with me, but Morgan Rogers, as Luke Harcer says, has Villa's failure to qualify for Champions League opened the door for potentially reasonable deal for someone like Morgan Rogers? I've always felt it'd be perfect for our system. Luke was getting in touch on the Discord there for my Patreon members. And I agree. I just think out of all the players sort of domestic based for this season, Eze and Rogers would be the two that I'd be going all out for if possible this summer. I just think both would be perfect for this team and could provide something that the squad doesn't really have in both of them as well. So I think those would be my two from the sort of teams outside of the top 5. Bantz TV says, "What do you think about Rashford for 40 million? I'd take him And Gyökeres, no, not for me. Not. I know Rashford had a good time when he was at Aston Villa. He had a points prove and all that, but no, not for me. I think I don't. I just it wouldn't excite me too much, and I would worry after maybe an initial burst of good form, where Rashford would go after that in this Arsenal team coming down to London. That's just I feel like he needs a cleaner break than that. So I would rather spend 40 million elsewhere. I have to say. Gordon says, "Hi Charles, thanks for your excellent coverage over the season. Much appreciated. No problem. The transfer rumours are in full flow. Have you heard if there's any truth in the Raya story and us bringing out back Emi Martinez and Barca for Garcia? The joys of toxic world of social media, probably. Yeah, I mean, come on. You don't really need to ask me about that, do you, Gordon? I saw this. It made me laugh. The Emi Martinez and David Raya. Someone saying that Raya was wanted in Spain and Arsenal were going to bring Emi Martinez back. I mean, it's just not going to happen. I'm sure Emi's going to go. It certainly looks that way, given what he was doing at the end of the season for Villa. But Arsenal, nah, not going to happen. Too much water under bridge for that to happen. And David Raya is certainly not going anywhere in this Arsenal squad right now. So no, that is your classic. I was just laughing about it when I was reading. I think I was in the press room at Southampton before the game, and someone mentioned it to me, the reports, and I was just laughing at it. It's like such classic end of season speculation. Max now says, Charles, do you think there's any realistic chance we could see players loaned out this season playing for Arsenal next season? I don't. I have to say, I just can't see it. Fabio Vieira is the only one potentially, maybe, could get some minutes if he doesn't go again. I think the expectation, and my expectation, is that he will go somewhere again, whether that's permanent or loan. We'll have to wait and see. But I think out of all of them, I don't see Sambi coming back and getting in this team. I think Arsenal will look to push Sambi out again. Marquinhos isn't going to come back. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who else there is who's out on loan. Karl Hein, maybe, depending on what happens with the Arsenal goalkeeping situation. Had a decent season over in Spain, so it's a possibility maybe that Karl Hein could get some minutes here or there if he stays. And Arsenal don't go out and sign a number 2 goalkeeper, but I think they're all going to go. I'd be really, really surprised. Fabio Vieira, like I said, would be the only one who might be able to offer something to this squad if he stays. But I still think the likelihood is that he will head off. I've got to hear from the last Redcoat 1662. Says Odegaard, after a serious ankle injury I've had 4, it's very common to subconsciously not trust and want to protect the ankle. After he came back, he seemed to avoid attempting those shots. Then he started getting in those positions again, but seemed reluctant to pull the trigger. When he finally began attempting them again, he was clearly not putting full power into those shots. Fortunately, he has really gotten past that, and I fully expect him to be hitting 10, 15 goals next season. Well, I hope you're right. I mean, you are right about ankle injuries as well. If you've got underlying pain there, maybe that is an issue sort of mentally as well as physically when it comes to really sort of smashing a ball. I'd be surprised if that was the case, though. I have to say, I just think he came back, struggled for form. I think his confidence went a little bit, but I think we certainly saw in the final closing weeks of the season that confidence start to coming back. And you could see by the way he was taking shots on, from the positions he was taking them on from, the way he was striking the ball. It just looked like he'd just found that confidence again. Because you don't lose what you had before. We watched 2 seasons of Odegaard striking the ball superbly and scoring loads of goals from those positions. It just didn't happen for him this season, but you don't lose that. And I think we've seen at the end of the season, he's still got it in his arsenal. And it's just a case of starting to build up that confidence again for him to do it. And whether it is down to injury, who knows? But just all I hope is you're right. In the next season, we can have an Odegaard scoring 10 to 15 goals again, because that will be a big boost for Arsenal. Absolutely no doubt about it. And that's it from me today. Thank you for everyone for sending in your questions. Appreciate them always. Thank you for the support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Like I said, I'm back later with James for Inside Arsenal Extra Time. Any questions you got and you want us to answer, then get them into the comments below. Start it with Extra Time. We'll pull some of them together and get them included in the show. Until then, have a good one, people. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.